An international center of excellence in quantum. How do we develop that? Not only in research, but also in the industry, in application integration and implementation. What are the aspirations we actually have in Germany? These and more questions we will now discuss in our second panel. And Jana Lehner is quantum ambassador at IBM and also very active in the Bitkom working group High Performance in Quantum Computing. And she'll take over from me now and host the session. Good to see you here. Welcome, Jana.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jana Lehner, and I would like to guide you through the second panel discussion of this Bitkom Quantum Summit 21. We have the topic, Germany, an international center of excellence in quantum. Quantum was a domain long time only for base researchers. Even applications that made it to our daily life, like the lasers, have not been related to quantum primarily in the public. However, in the past few years, we have seen a complete turn. Quantum has stepped into business and became visible. Worldwide, many countries have started dedicated quantum programs to get their share in the race or even aiming for the lead. The global effort in quantum technology increases year after year. In Germany, we see a lot of activities in the quantum area. We have excellent fundamental research in quantum fields for a long time. Today, there are many regional initiatives focusing on quantum, like excellence clusters, competence centers, quantum valleys, but also larger networks necessary to connect research and business. The German government is well aware of the potential of quantum technology. Already in 2017, the first concepts and surveys have been published by the Ministry of Education and Research, evaluating the potential and the required conditions in Germany. Since then, high volume funding programs have been launched. More recent surveys come to the conclusion that Germany has a good position and high potential in quantum, but success is not guaranteed. In our highly dynamic world, there is a true risk to lose the advantages. To get a common national strategy for quantum computing, an expert council with members from science and business was commissioned to specify the key challenges and recommended actions for future approach. It was then presented as Roadmap Quantum Computing in January this year. With all that in Germany, and with all that it is, I think, a very good question. Is Germany already an international center of excellence in quantum? I would like to discuss this question with my guests in this forum. Before we start to dive into the details, I would like to introduce my guests. First, Professor Claudia Linov. She's professor for mobile and distributed systems at the Institute for Informatics of Ludwig Maximilian's University in Munich. Since 2016, Claudia Linov is head of the Quantum Application and Research Laboratory, which is moving forward research in the field of quantum computing. The lab uses diverse quantum hardware systems to program quantum computing use cases for the industry and to develop an early quantum advantage. She's also founding member of the European Lighthouse Project Planck, a platform for quantum-assisted artificial intelligence, and she's member of the German Expert Council Quantum Computing. Welcome, welcome, Claudia Linov. Our second guest, Professor Dr. Raul Klingner. He is Director of Research Management and Governance at Fraunhofer-Gesellschaft. Since 2025, Raul Klingner is working at the Fraunhofer-Gesellschaft, the Research Management and Governance Division. He is its director now, oversees all the activities of Fraunhofer Institute in Germany. Raul Klingner has been teaching research and innovation management. He is member in several advisory boards and chair of the board of Fraunhofer UK. Welcome, Raul Klingner. Our next guest is Dr. Alexander Tettenborn. He is head of development of Digital Technologies Division at Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy. Alexander Tettenborn now works for more than 30 years in the civil service on posts in the fields of education and technology at the Federal Ministry of Education and Science, at the Federal Ministry of Economics and Technology, and now at the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy. Among responsibilities for research and development in the fields of Internet of Services, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, he is involved in planning the implementation of the coalition package that includes also quantum computing. Welcome, Alexander Tettenborn. Our next guest, Dr. Horst Weiss. He's Vice President, Knowledge, Innovation and Solutions in the Global Digital Services Division at BASF SE. Horst Weiss is currently working on natural language processing, digitalization of knowledge and innovations. For many years, he has dealt with multi-scale modeling on high-performance computers, where he also started quantum computing. In 2020, he was appointed to the Expert Council to set up a national roadmap for quantum computing. Welcome, Horst Weiss. And our next guest, Mario Brandenburg. He is Free Democratic Party and member of the German Parliament. Mario Brandenburg is a technology policy spokesman for the parliamentary group of the Free Democrats in the German Bundestag, as well as a member of the Committee for Education, Research and Technology Assessment and the Committee for the Digital Agenda. Welcome, Mario Brandenburg. When talking about quantum, we have several stages. It ranges from research over application development to use cases in business. When we talk about excellence, what we could mean excellence in each of these areas. We could mean excellence in connecting these different topics. And we would like to discuss here the questions where we are in Germany, where we want to be, what is our aspiration, what is our perspective in quantum technology. My first question I would like to address to Alexander. What is your perspective from your position in the government? What should we achieve in Germany in quantum?
Thank you, Jana. I think we have started with our 2 billion euro program, the recovery program, and altogether with the 2.5 billion program, because we started a little bit earlier. And I think we have to reach a higher computing power. At the moment, we are at about 27 qubits, and we go up to 50. And I know that IBM has the goal of reaching 1,000 qubits. And so therefore, we invest in hardware, we invest in software, we invest in people, of course, and we invest also in the services, and we try to connect it with the economy. So therefore, I think it is a huge challenge, and we all have to stand together to achieve this goal. And but I'm confident that we can do it, and that we are not having such a disaster like with MP3, that we develop the good things and others utilize it. So this is what we try to avoid. And I think the 1,000 qubits might be reached by IBM first, but also in cooperation with IBM, but also we want to develop, of course, computers that can reach this goal too. It is a hard challenge, but I think we can make it.
Thank you. Raoul, from the perspective of having the connection from research to application in the Fraunhofer Institute, what is your view? What should we achieve in quantum technology?
Well, Jana, first of all, quantum technology is not only quantum computing, but obviously today quantum computing is interesting to us very much because as Alexander already said, the developments are exponential lately. But from an economic point of view, there's other quantum technologies like quantum sensing or quantum imaging, quantum communication, which are already there and already in use, being really actual products that companies in Germany produce and also manage to handle very well. Just thinking of quantum sensing, that we always thought of being the closest quantum technology to be on the market, and we see first products at the moment. So I think in general, German companies in Germany is very well set up in these quantum technologies, as just mentioned, and also in quantum computing. We have already said there's a great research base to build upon in Germany. However, obviously, the quantum computers as machines and tools are not yet at a point where there is a quantum advantage that companies can already use very intensively. But we're all very convinced that it's going to be there, and probably sooner than we think or thought maybe a couple of years ago. So I'm very confident that we can, in cooperation with these companies like IBM and others that are already invested a lot of time and effort and experience in offering solutions and machines that we can work with, that we can develop an ecosystem in Germany and Europe that's going to push that development as well. Not only companies that provide and build quantum computers, but along the way, I foresee that we have the opportunity to build components that are part of these kind of machines that will be interesting for startups, for small and medium-sized enterprises to develop and also provide pieces of technology that then will form a complete system. So I'm quite confident. It's a way. It's not going to be there tomorrow, but I'm quite confident that we're going to play an interesting part in this endeavor.
Thank you, Claudia. Working at applications for quantum computers, where you would like to see quantum in Germany?
It's a good question. I think we have two perspectives on quantum computing. So it is like building a bridge. We can come from the technology-driven side, and we can come from the application-driven side. And as a member of the Planck project, which is supported by the government in the referat of Alexander Tettenborn, I'm very, very happy to support the application-driven side of quantum computing. And in my perspective, it is so that Germany is very, very strong in the user industry. So we are world champion in engineering, in automotive, in medical technologies, and so on. And now we have on one side the strong user industry, and on the other side we have quantum computing. And these two things, they grow together. And therefore we have, or in my opinion, we should have two aims. We should have the aim to build one or two quantum computers as full stack or however, and we should have the other perspective that we need applications which run on quantum computers now, on existing NIST computers. And that is my personal aim for these next 4, 5, 6, 7 years, to run successful quantum applications with the aim of a quantum advantage.
Thank you. Now let's have a look from the industry perspective. Horst, you're working on this industry side, I would say. What is on your wish list for the development in quantum technology in Germany?
Yeah, I can only confirm what Claudia just said. Yeah, from our perspective, of course, it is important that we get a barrier-free access to the latest stage of quantum hardware that is available to train, to learn, to develop IP, and to make ourselves familiar with the possibilities and also with the challenges of quantum computing. Yeah, quantum computing, I guess, has some proven advantages in the future for us. It's now on the stage that we need to develop all those algorithms and develop those development environments, make a convenient representation of the technology somewhere in the cloud with a convenient access to the cloud. It is all that it should be a technology that is embedded into what we do anyway when we use supercomputers, for example. And for this, I also would like to hint to the point of building the talent that is needed for this, because this technology is very different from what we had in the past. Writing programs for quantum computer and using them, advantages in an industrial environment will be possible only for trained personnel. And this is also one of the reasons why I think we should now start doing all this effort to build the talent to build the infrastructure to make ourselves familiar, because in my opinion, we now have a grace period of a few years really to cope with what already is a challenge throughout the world. I mean, we can come back to this later. I think I should stop now, but I think we should also discuss the IP situation as it is of now. As of now, we see that we are already behind when we simply count patents that are filed in the field of quantum technology throughout the whole of Europe if compared to the US and to China. And this is something that we see also with sorrow, that this risk-taking with central entrepreneurs is simply missing in the technology here in our setting. But maybe I stop now for now.
Thank you. Thank you. Mario, quantum technology is just one technology among a number of fascinating technologies we have today that is going to be developed. What is your view? Is there an understanding of quantum technology and it's important? And is there also the motivation to drive the development in quantum technology and where it should go?
I mean, is there an understanding of quantum technologies? I'm not sure if we talk about the Bundestag, probably no, but there doesn't have to be. So, but I'll pick up basically what Horst just said. So it's about connecting the dots. So we are talking about talent for quantum. We talk about talent in AI and everything, but for quantum, that's different. So basically the politicians have to take care that it works out. And in general, we need to stop to have this like watering can mentality kind of bit and focus on what we can do. I think it was Claudia, no, Raul, who said that there is stuff which is working and we should strengthen the strengths. So we should try to build one computer, yes, sure, but not every startup can do that. And I guess we missed a bit out on that part, because if you look at the strategies, 2016, it was all about research. In the 2018 strategy, they started to talk about transfer and a bit about society so that they are not too scared. And in the 2021, that's okay, we talk about startups. Do we have a startup on the panel here? No. Is a startup currently building a real computer? No. So this is basically what we need to aim next. So the political movement is, the direction is right. We are a bit too slow, or right now it's better, but we could have been faster, but trying doesn't help. So I really think it's about connecting the dots. And in the end, it's always about money, not to spend it in too many projects. We now see that every ministry does something with quantum, which is nice in an early stage for understanding what it is. But if we really are in a race, as we are right now, so better than every ministry have saying, oh, we could do this and that with quantum, we should really ask, where can we perform in Germany, or where can we perform as one part of a supply chain in Europe and go in there. So we should stop the water can time.
Yeah, that's a very, very important problem and very important point. Before we dive into this more in detail, I would like to have a second aspect of what we would like to achieve discussed. So quantum technology can be very complex. So if we have the quantum computer, for instance, we have the hardware. The hardware must be developed. The hardware must be run. We have the electronics to address the hardware. We have then in the next stage, we have the algorithms that are pretty new for quantum. So they're also is a complete new area. We have the software to use these algorithms. We need the software to connect with the regular classical software, and we need the providers for the quantum service, just for the quantum computation. So we have a lot of fields we have to cover in order to make a quantum computer running. Similar with the other areas in quantum in the quantum technology, maybe some more, maybe some less complex, but this is nothing that just a single company, a single country maybe can do alone. So the question is really what level of autonomy we would like to have in Germany. So we have the funding program that says we want to build 2 quantum computers in Germany. So that would be a kind of autonomy in this area. But on the other hand, the real as we are in the race, we have to work together. We need the cooperation on European level or also on non-European level to be fast enough to get all the achievements and be in the race and not fall behind. So here, I think there should be always a balance between these two fields. So what do you see? Where should we put the focus on the autonomy? Would someone like to start? Yeah, Claudia?
Yeah, it's only a picture which I want to share with you. Is it not similar to airplanes? So only as a question. So in the case of airplanes, there are, so say, two very big players, Airbus and Boeing, and they build airplanes. It's a very complicated thing, but every country has its own, like Lufthansa, flight company, airline company. So could it be a similar picture for quantum computing? It's only a question. We have some players building quantum computers, but I think in Germany we need something like an airline, so that we are autonomous to run quantum computers without other countries for the user industry.
Well,
sorry for that.
Interesting approach.
Yeah. Maybe concerning airlines, so we have, of course, the Aerospace Center is actually working on the hardware aspect. But you're absolutely right. We have to think, what can we do in our country, in Germany? What can we do in Europe? And where do we find strategic partners, like with IBM, which is an American firm, but strongly rooted in Germany too. So this is a strategic partner. But of course, we were a little bit traumatized through the Trump era, where we suddenly saw that some powerful companies can simply cut us off from things. So therefore, we need some degree of autonomy for us in Germany and in Europe. And we have to look, as I said, for strategic partners. I think then we can have an airline, but the airline flies with Airbus, and Airbus is, and also Boeing, not yet Chinese planes. But I think the airline example is a wonderful one, a very good one.
Mario.
I would challenge it, since it's a panel, so we should challenge it. I'm not sure if airline is maybe the best example, so we might need more quantum computers than airline at some point of day. But what I want to say, I think we should not search for something similar or picture. We should really ask, what do we want to do on our own? So if I think about what security, that's something a country should be sure. So it's quantum communication, quantum and decryption. This is stuff I really want to have. Is it material science? No, I'm happy if BASF is a world leader and it happens here. So I think we really need to think about what we want to do in terms of being sovereign by a process level. And the next part is not even the US can build a computer or a plane on their own. China can't, nobody can. So it will always be a supply chain. My personal opinion, as long as we have something to trade in, which they need, I'm fine if we cannot do everything. So if we look at semiconductor, we were in the game. And then we left the table. Now there's a bit of ARM left, but we are now selling it, so we are out. Basically, it's only two parts of the story. Before, it was a triangular thing with the EU. So we are not talking only Germany. We're probably not powerful enough. But I think as long as we are, for example, are the guys with the quantum communication and the security, they might not kick us out on an analytics part, because they know these are the guys we need to secure it. So I would hope that Germany can be super in everything. But being honest, I guess it's better to look at some processes and really go in there and ensure that other supply chains won't work without our basically our parts of knowledge.
Thank you. Horst, you would like to make a comment?
Yeah, I would like to also put an idea in. In the Experts Council, we were discussing a lot about the resilience of the value chain. The importance of that. I mean, quantum computers are somewhat now in the strategic discussion in many countries. And we are critically dependent of some of the parts at the moment, amplifiers and so on, that you would not think are so difficult to obtain. In order to assure that in future the resilience of our value chain is secured, we need to do something. And I saw recently a beautiful example with the European VTT company, IQM. They already are able to produce some of those critical components. And I think this is really the right move in the right direction. And so when we really want to be in the game at the moment, due to the early technical nature of those systems, I think it is very important that we have a holistic view on the value chain, also as a nation, also as a part of Europe. So although I'm personally and as a representative of a chemical company more interested in the application side, I think the application will food on our capability of building and running quantum computers, because that was also something we discussed really quite intensively. At the present situation, it is important to have a co-development of the hardware and the corresponding software and carefully test what's doable on the various stages. And this, I guess, led also to the construction of those hubs as we have it for working out those quantum computers. Then on top of this, of course, we have this dedicated hardware, and we must be able to develop this hardware and supplyment. And I think we could have also a national ambition, like we do it in photonics, for example, to be really as a big supplier on the market internationally. And then, of course, on top of this, we have to build those applications. I think the ambition on this should be really holistic, because of the technical nature of those systems at the moment. And there is value generated on along the whole value chain there. And I think at the moment, we cannot lean back and say, well, we simply wait what others give to us. It is nice to work with all the big suppliers and try them out. I would directly advocate using them directly, really. But we also need to be able to challenge the market and become a system provider that is internationally on par with the others.
Well, thank you. So we need to balance our own development strategy with what we get, so that we are connected to the world, providing components or knowledge and getting, on the other hand, some return to just be in the cooperation together. How we touched this topic already in the beginning a bit, how we achieve what we would like to be in Germany. So what support may be required, what mind change may be necessary, that we can continue on the quantum road.
Maybe, Jana, an idea for myself, and also connecting to what's been said before, which I totally agree what Horst said, and to the values that we can create. I think one aspect that is important also in terms of autonomy or sovereignty is that companies like BASF, they need to be sure that the calculations they want to do in crucial processes of their revenue stream, so to speak, they need to have total control of what's going on. So we need to have a thorough understanding of what the machine is doing, and also have total control of the data that we calculate on the machine. That's the type of sovereignty that I hope for, and that's why it's so important to understand and also develop crucial components in the value chain, that companies in Germany and Europe do not depend on deploying their processes and calculations on machines that are elsewhere, and sort of lose maybe potentially control of that, what's been done there, meaning the heart of their revenue and business model. That's why I think it's very important that we can offer these application-driven advantages that European companies may come up with, that we can offer them a sovereign access to machines of a provider that is located here, be it an international company that we cooperate with, or something that we produce and develop ourselves in the next coming years.
Thank you. How we continue in the quantum area. So we have the Center of Excellence. We have new we have the Munich Quantum Value, we have the Competence Center in Baden-Württemberg, we have a lot of local initiatives. Is there already a good way to go forward? Is there a need to coordinate? Is there a need for having a better funding for startups, or is there even the general acceptance of quantum, or the understanding that needs to be improved to have a better coordination of the development? From we have seen we have the quantum computation roadmap, and I think here there's a good outline already done. Is there already something we could just implement, we could go for? I'd like to ask Claudia.
I think it's a very complex problem. So, and we must go into detail and find the best solution for each detailed problem. So at the moment we have the era of the NISQ systems, the NISQ computers, quantum computers. NISQ means these are quantum computers which have between 50 and some 100 qubits. That means 50 is too many that you can't simulate it. So a simulator is not good enough to have the same behavior like a quantum computer in the NISQ era with more than 50 qubits. But with some 100 qubits, you have no quantum advantage. You are in an area between a simulator and a real quantum advantage. And I think we must consider this is our state of the art. And what can we do to prepare to become quantum ready for the era of a quantum advantage? And therefore, these two things, we want to build quantum computers, and on the other hand, we want to use quantum computers to have this advantage. And I think building a quantum computer is very complex, like building an airplane. So you need a lot of members of a supply chain. I don't know whether a startup is able to provide a component for that. I don't know. I'm not a physician. I'm a computer scientist. But on the side of informatics, of computer science, there it is possible to consider a very special problem and to say, okay, I need access to a quantum computer, to an x16 quantum computer, to an annealer, to a gate model quantum computer, and so on, and let it do. It is not the time or vice versa. It is a time to do it now, to apply on a quantum computer, and we must do it now.
How we can get the business to step in to understand that this is a valuable approach using quantum computer.
Let me give a small example. So in this summer term at the university, I established a practicum. So we call it Quantum Computing Optimization Challenge. And then I wrote an email to several companies and, for instance, to BASF and said, hi, Horst, would you like to join this practical course with the students? And I got 4 companies who said, yes, please let us do that together. And together with SAP, with BMW, BASF, and Siemens, we said we take 4 different kinds of quantum computers, Rigetti, IBM, D-Wave, and Fujitsu. So IBM, at the moment, we are negotiating. There are some problems, but we will solve it. And our students, we have chosen 27 students. These students get access to these 4 different kinds of quantum computers, and they will solve problems from these 4 industry companies. And at the end, in July, we will consider and compare what are the results. So what are the problems of these companies, supply chain problems, medical problems, and so on. What are these problems, and what are the solutions which we can get today? And then we can make the next steps, and we can say, okay, for such a task, we need, for instance, I don't know, 1200 qubits, and 1200 qubits we will have in 4 years or in 5 years. And at the end, when I have this result, I will tell it to Horst Weiss, and say to him, okay, in 5 years you will have a quantum advantage. And we prepare now for that era.
Thank you. How we can attract other business, so the small and medium business, to think about using quantum, not only quantum computation, but quantum sensing for their application, or providing parts, being in the enabling part of the quantum computation, not quantum computation, in the quantum technology in general. How we can attract more business, what could be a good strategy we have here in Germany, we should have.
Maybe I go first, and then I'm also happy to hear what Alexander Tettenborn basically would say to that, or would answer to that. So, I mean, as a liberal, I don't think that's basically the main task of the state, to somehow make startups work on quantum technology. So I think it's the first positive thing is that the big ones, you just named them, I mean, BASF, SAP, they're all going in. So that's still in a very conservative economic system, a sign if they do it, you know, the Mittelstand, then they at least they look at it. So it's got the proof that it is serious stuff. So, and then basically this is the part where politics can come into play for areas which we really think they make sense. So I named, for example, the security part, or whatever you name it, where a political decision is made. You can go in there and basically stimulate a hesitative market. So it's not about creating markets. That's basically not, let's say, not my meaning or understanding of politicians, but where people or startups or whatever hesitate, I think you can go in. And then we are in the end in a general political discussions about, can we actually scale? So we need a startup fund and all of that, but I'll keep that aside, because in the end, we are coming into the normal term, like, can I build a company here and will I run out of money? But the stimulation momentum can be done. But I think, and that's my last point here, at the moment, the political decision makers are just too slow. So if I see the periods, basically 6 months to decide who actually takes care of the topic of quantum computing internally between the ministries, 6 months for a startup, it's time to die 5 times and to scale 7 times. So, I mean, this can be the answer, to wait 6 months to whom to talk to. So on the political side, there needs to be more commitment, more coordination, and faster, because even, like, honestly speaking, good persons like Mr. Tettenborn who want to push it, there might be different ministries who have different views, and we are still coming back to the idea, what can my ministry do with this technology? That's okay. Again, it's okay that basically politicians or people like think about it, but in the end, there has to be a goal, and then we need to achieve it. And I think this is where we miss out, because no private investor will take the money and basically just say, look, okay, I tried. Okay, that's the last point. Sorry, you see, I become a politician. We can as well talk then about taxing laws. So if I do a high risk investment and I can only keep 20% if it works out, this also might scare investors, but that's a separate topic. So in the end, it's more ambition planning and faster answers to the ones who want to build it.
Thank you.
Yes, maybe I answer to Mario. I fully agree, and I can tell you that we suffered a lot the 6 months, because not only for this, but with AI and the other subjects, it's really a hard time until we really could we set up the programs. We have finished our quantum computing program for weeks and months already, but now we're able to issue it. And what we do is, at least to give incentives for companies, for research, but also for startups to develop platforms, tools, methods for the integration and application of quantum computing. And so this is the goal of our new program, and we address areas like chemistry, pharmacy, health, climate, traffic, insurance, financial areas, construction areas, and production and automation. Of course, we basically need more money for this, but we start with this, like with Planck, where we give incentives on the platform for small and medium-sized companies. But I also have to say that we also feel some hesitation, not because people do not want it, but this is just there are not enough experts for that. There's not enough capacity at the moment, but we have to scale up as fast as possible. And I fully agree to Mario, and I hope that the next that with the next government, although I'm in this government, but that there is be a little bit more speed in coordination. This is very, very important. The discussion about the new Ministry for Digitization or whatever, but we urgently need in the IT questions a faster, better coordination with clear deadlines. So like when you say the coalition partners, they agree upon the recovery plan, they should say, okay, until end of August. In June, they decide until end of August, it has to be decided upon, full stop. And if the civil servants just put them together, like with a pope, like when they elect a new pope, and close them up at Friday 7 p.m. and don't release them until they found a solution. And I can tell you it will be very fast, but it needs a real full power thing. What the government now did was very hard for us too. I must say that, but I hope that we will be faster, and we have to be faster in this respect. But as far as the funds are concerned on what we do at the moment, I'm quite happy with that, what we do. But of course, we have to closely observe how we can scale up this, but depending on the capacities. This is very important. I mean, Claudia can maybe, and the others can also say, there are limited capacities in this field, and we have to, of course, check how we can utilize the capacities we have for economic applications and to give startups a chance to enter it. And I see chances with software, developing platforms, helping with services, and so on. There are chances for startups to get into it, not in developing hardware because it's really very hard business, but in utilizing these tools we are developing. And I'm confident that we will have a very good quality projects for our program. Yes, and this will be, I think, in June. Then we will have a decision, end of June.
Thank you, Alexander. We talked about startups, and startups may pick up dedicated problems that came up in research. So Raoul, I would like to ask you, what do you think? Does it work, the transfer from the research to startups, or vice versa, attracting business to come with problems to the research centers and ask for a dedicated solution, so that we here can focus more on solutions that make their way to the market, to the business? How do you think this transfer works in Germany?
Well, Jana, I think the transfer works quite well in Germany. And I have to say, even though Alexander and Mario, it took some time, and we had to be patient at the scientist side, but I'm very thankful for what is there now and what's out there. And I can tell you, people, they work very hard now to write their proposals, their concepts, and I agree, they'll turn in very interesting projects and proposals. And I think there's a huge momentum that government put into the community that's unfolding now. And in the end, Jana, I think it will also unfold into transfer activities. I strongly believe that in these efforts that have a challenging part and also a coordinative part that ministries put out on the medium-term run, next 1, 2, 3 years, there is a bunch of startups, I think, that will be coming out of the proposals and projects that are done. Claudia probably has already some in her mind that may pop out of the projects. And that will be an ecosystem that will be very unique and interesting. And we have the application side that Horst already talked about that will pull from the industry and define the applications, or what Claudia already said, define what they need in a certain amount of time and years to have their quantum advantage. So I'm quite positive that that transfer is going to happen from the application side towards give us the solutions that we need to have a quantum advantage in our revenue stream, but also from the provision side that startups are going to come up for specific components, maybe form consortia that produce functional prototypes and systems, and maybe then be a system integrator. Transfer, I think, has good basics in Germany, has the companies and also the ecosystem and the organizations, universities, technical universities, Fraunhofer, that support that. And I think the governmental push now will push us also in transfer, and we will see, I'm sure, startups and interesting companies that make use of quantum computational power in Germany in the next 5, 6, 7 years.
Thank you, Raoul. We are coming close to the end of this talk, unfortunately already. So I would like to have you just a final comment, a very short one. So we have talked about the aspirations where we would like to go. We have talked about the problems. The topic of our talk is, are we already a center of excellence in Germany? So what is your just very short evaluation of the situation? Are we already a center of excellence, or how far are we away here in Germany? Someone would like to go first?
Shall I be the first mover? We have not yet reached it, but we are on a good way, I must say, in this respect. And as already was said, I think we have good funds with 2.5 billion for Germany, and including when we look at Europe. Yes, but of course we shall not forget that we need, as it was said, a holistic view on this whole situation, and we shall closely observe the development, which is very, very fast. And so therefore, for the next period of government, we have to look at how we can speed up the process in this case. At the moment, we have laid a good foundation, but we shall not rest on it. We shall really take a very, very clear half-yearly look, at least, at the situation to adapt our policy to what is really needed. We have to be more flexible in this field. We cannot be so inflexible. We need more flexibility for this. This is my statement.
Thank you, Alexander. Who would like to go next?
Then I might add on that. So if excellence means having enough building blocks and really good ones, then yes, we are excellent. If excellence means input, output, total ratio, then there's room for improvement, as the Americans would say. So I think we have all the building blocks we need, but still, when it comes, if we look at the figures, for example, the McKinsey report, to the startups and really how much incubators we have and that stuff. So do we really have the ecosystem of excellence? That's a no. But do we have all the chances to build it? That's a yes. So basically, I'm a positive person, so I'm more on the positive side. But if excellence means the full stack, we are not quite there.
Thank you, Mario.
I guess the science, as so often in Germany, is really excellent. We are building now for the application layer. I see a high awareness in the industry. The industry now also starts to talk amongst each other how to leverage the usage of quantum computing for value-bringing application. That's something I see with delight. It's going there in a very good direction. On the other hand, I usually feel a bit of envy when I look onto the messages coming from the US and from China. And I mean, we are in competition with those countries. And when I see that, for example, Xanadu gets $100 million for the Series B, for building photonic, then I don't see any comparable situation in Germany. I don't see an integrator that is capable of bringing those technologies together and to market and so on. I think we have there a long way to go in order to be really competitive. I don't have doubts that we will excel in some of the applications, but if you really get this resilience done, I don't know.
Thank you, Horst.
Maybe I just add two sentences, I believe, but that's, I think, already been said. We need to be very bold and ambitious, and others won't sleep. So they run as fast as we started to run now, and if we let down, the race is going to be decided. But we are fast as well. We need to keep up running now, though.
Thank you, Raoul. And Claudia, your summary?
Yeah, I'm very proud that this plug project, for instance, has already taken part. And for instance, the QRR lab belongs to the world's top 12 quantum computing research universities, together with Stanford, Harvard, and so on. And I think we have small pieces in a good starting point. And hopefully, if the next steps will be successful, so we have done a very good thing.
Thank you. Thank you. So we are at the end of our session. It was a very interesting talk. Very, very glad to have you all here. And we hope we got on our track on the being a competence center here in Germany. Quantum technology is definitely one of the most fascinating areas I know, and I really hope we succeed here. Thank you for your participation, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jana. You've been excellent host. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.